Hello everyone, welcome to MSApti webcast. In this video, we are going to see the steps on how to configure temporary access pass in Azure Active Directory. A temporary access pass is a time-limited passcode issued by an admin that satisfies strong authentication requirements and can be used to onboard other authentication methods, including passwordless. A temporary access pass also makes recovery easier when a user has lost or forgotten their strong authentication factor like a FIDO2 security key or Microsoft Authenticator app, but needs to sign in to register new strong authentication methods. In real life, users may forget to bring the mobile phone to office or may be out of battery, so they can't get into the Authenticator app to complete the multi-factor authentication challenge. When a user fails to complete the strong authentication steps such as FIDO2 or multi-factor, temporary access pass can deploy to save the day. In this way, if the user doesn't have the ability to complete the strong authentication, IT team doesn't need to take them out from the MFA conditional access policy for an example. Users have the option of entering the reusable or one-time temporary access pass to get in. In this video, we will see the steps on how to enable and configure temporary access pass for selected user in Azure Active Directory. Let's sign in to the Azure Active Directory portal using an account with global administrator permissions. You can access Azure Active Directory portal using the URL https://aad.portal.azure.com. On Azure Active Directory portal, click on Azure Active Directory. We are using the user account with global administrator role to perform the steps. In the first step, we will enable temporary access policy in our Azure Active Directory tenant. But the question is, why we need temporary access pass policy? A temporary access pass policy defines the settings such as the lifetime of passes created in the tenant or the users and groups who can use a temporary access pass to sign in. Before anyone can sign in with a temporary access pass, you need to enable the authentication method policy and choose which users and groups can sign in by using a temporary access pass. Although you can create a temporary access pass for any user, only those included in the policy can sign in with it. Global administrator and authentication method policy administrator role holders can update the temporary access pass authentication method policy. So enough talk, let's get started. Under Manage, click on Security. Under the Manage menu, click on Authentication Methods. We will be on Policies page. From the list of available authentication methods, click on Temporary Access Pass. Click Yes to enable the policy. You can choose to enable temporary access pass authentication for all users or select specific users and groups. We will only enable tab-based authentication for a test user 4 for testing purpose. Set target to select users. Click on Add Users or Groups link. From the list, select a user or group such as test user 4. You can also select group from the list. Click on Select. Under Target, verify that test user 4 is selected. Click on Configure and click on Edit. From here, you can configure temporary access pass settings. The temporary access pass authentication method policy can limit the duration of the passes in the tenant between 10 minutes to 30 days. Right now, we are not going to set up the policy settings. We will use the default one. At the bottom, click on Save to enable tab-based authentication for Test User 4. Here we can see the confirmation message that policy was successfully saved. Let me remind you that we have already configured multi-factor authentication for Test User 4 in the last video. Let me show you that. Open a new in private browser window. Type URL https://aad.portal.azure.com. Press Enter key to access Azure Active Directory Admin Center. At sign-in prompt, enter the username. In our case, it is user4@msftwebcaster.onmicrosoft.com. Click Next. Enter the user password and click on Sign In. To complete the sign-in process, user need to complete the multi-factor authentication using Microsoft Authenticator app. So now let's create a temporary access pass for this user account so he can sign in without using Microsoft Authenticator app. I'm going to close this window, and we can also confirm that temporary access pass is enabled and target is one user, which is our Test User 4. So after you enable a policy, you can create a temporary access pass for a user in Azure Active Directory. On left side, click on Users. Select the user you enabled for tab-based authentication. In our case, it is Test User 4. Click on Test User 4. Under Manage, click on Authentication Methods. If needed, select the option to try the new user authentication methods experience, and for that, you just simply need to click here. Under Usable Authentication Methods, here we can see already defined authentication method for our Test User 4, which are phone number and Microsoft Authenticator app. Select the option to add authentication methods. Click on drop-down arrow and select Temporary Access Pass option. Define a custom activation time duration as per your requirement. We will go with default time duration, which is 1 hour. You can also choose one-time use yes option to allow the user to use temporary access pass for only one time. Click on Add to create a temporary access pass for Test User 4. We can see the confirmation message, successfully added temporary access pass. Once added, you can see the details of the temporary access pass. Make a note of the actual temporary access pass value. I'm going to copy it. So let's click on Copy to Clipboard. Now you need to provide this value to the Test User 4. Remember, you can't view this value after you click OK. Now let's use temporary access pass to log in to Azure Active Directory using the credential of Test User 4. Open a new in private browser window. Type the URL https://aad.portal.azure.com. Press Enter key to access Azure Active Directory Admin Center. At sign-in prompt, enter the UPN of the account you created the temporary access pass for. user4@msftwebcaster.onmicrosoft.com. After providing the username, click Next. If the user is included in the temporary access pass policy, they'll see a screen to enter the temporary access pass. Enter the temporary access pass that was displayed in the Azure portal. Let's paste the password which we have copied earlier. Select the checkbox in front of Show Temporary Access Pass to see the password. After entering the temporary access pass, click on Sign In. Now, the user is successfully logged in to Azure Active Directory Admin Center without prompting for multi-factor authentication. The user is now signed in and can update or register a method such as FIDO2 security key or Microsoft Authenticator app. Let me open a new tab here. Let me enter the URL https://myaccount.microsoft.com and press enter key. We will be on My Account web page. Click on Security Info. Users who update their authentication methods due to losing their credentials or device should make sure that remove the old authentication methods from Security Info page. And here we can see the message: for security reasons, we recommended that you delete any sign-in method that you no longer use. Users can also continue to sign in by using their password. A tab doesn't replace a user's password. With the tab, it is also possible to register for passwordless phone sign-in from the Authenticator app. With the Authenticator app, you can adopt the further uses of the passwordless options. Already, I have created one video on how to configure passwordless authentication for Azure Active Directory user account. Now, let's see the steps to delete an expired temporary access pass. Remember, you can also delete your temporary access pass from Security Info page, and that you can verify here. Temporary access pass expires on this date and timestamp, and to delete it, you simply need to click on delete. But we want to see the steps from Azure Active Directory, that how we can delete a temporary access pass for user account. So from here, I'm going to close it, and let's sign out from this web page. Let me close the web browser. And now we are on a Azure Active Directory Admin Center, which we have signed in using mwadmin at msaptivewebcaster.onmicrosoft.com. Now I'm going to click on OK. Let me start from the beginning. So I'm going to click on Users and then select the user you enabled for tab-based authentication. In our case, it is Test User 4. Under Manage, click on Authentication Methods. On Authentication Methods page, you can see list of usable authentication methods. Here we can see phone number, temporary access pass, and Microsoft Authenticator app is listed. So to delete it, we simply need to click on these three dots for temporary access pass, and from there we need to click on delete. So select delete to delete temporary access pass for our Test User 4. It will ask us for the confirmation that are you sure you want to delete this temporary access pass. This user will no longer be able to authenticate using this temporary access pass. Since we want to delete it, I'm going to click on yes. Wait for the confirmation message. It is deleted successfully, and we can see the message successfully deleted temporary access pass. Now we can see we have only two authentication methods, phone number and Microsoft Authenticator. So the temporary access pass has been deleted successfully for our user Test User 4. So that concludes the video on how to configure temporary access pass in Azure Active Directory using the Azure Active Directory portal. Thank you all for watching this video. Have a nice day.